All right. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Friday, November 15th. No, not 15th. It is Friday, November 14th. My name is Everett and welcome to the Volleyball Journal. Let's talk about some volleyball. Now, it has been a pretty eventful week since last time I saw you guys just on Monday. In the world of volleyball, we have action from the PlusLiga. We have action from the Lega Volley Femminili. We've got updates for the Club World Championships. We've got action from the Champions League, and the draw is finally set for the women's side. We've got some crazy coaching news, a bunch of different coaching news, actually, on a number of different levels. Also going to talk about the French Super Cup and a few different things. So yeah, hope all of yo's Friday, whatever that is. Hope y'all's Friday is going pretty good. I've had a really eventful one. It's been a little bit crazy. Bunch of meetings, some fun things happening, not necessarily volleyball source related, just other fun things happening. And, was kind of thinking about not doing a show today, but I decided I gotta keep it scheduled. We got to keep it consistent here. Okay. So before any ado, I'm just going to jump right into it. There was only 4 matches in the PlusLiga this week. 2 on Wednesday, 2 on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday. And some pretty big results out there. I won't lie, some pretty big results out there. Starting on Tuesday, Barkom Lviv with a 3-dong on Warszawa. That is a big result. We'll talk about that one. Gdansk also going to 5. Ooh, that's a little bit loud. Gdansk also going to 5 with Kuprum Gorzów, and Gorzów still at the bottom of the table, but I think they're looking a little bit better. Both Hanos having a really good week at the same time. And then on Wednesday, we also had a doubleheader. Olsztyn getting a nice little 3-dong over the basement dwellers of Suwałki. And then, of course, last year's PlusLiga Finals rematch between Zawiercie and Lublin. To be honest, I think that one was the best match so far this season. And that's exactly where we are going to start in Zawiercie for the matchup between Lublin and Zawiercie. And you know what? If you're watching on stream, you'll see the picture that is on the stream of Bartosz Królek giving a little shh to the other side of the net. And this one was a spicy one. This one was an entertaining one. There was a lot of stuff going on, and I honestly think that this one was the most entertaining match of the year. And Zawiercie ends up picking up the W, a 3-2 win. They improved their record to 5-1. And you know what? This is why I love the PlusLiga. This is why I think it's the most entertaining league in the world. Earlier on the season, Zawiercie plays Warszawa. Warszawa looks outstanding against them, gets the 3-dong. And I'm thinking, whoa, Zawiercie not looking so good. Warszawa looking amazing. And now we're what? 6 weeks in, 5 weeks into the season. This match is actually a rematch of a week 13 matchup that I guess both of these teams will be missing for the Champions League. I'm assuming that's what it is. Or I guess it could also be the Club World Championships, maybe? No, Lublin isn't at the Club World Championships. Scratch what I said. And now all of a sudden, you know, it looked way different. Zawiercie is at the top of the league. Lublin, who looked almost untouchable last week, is now on a slide. 2 losses in a row. And next they have to take on Resovia, who is the only undefeated team left in the PlusLiga. So, yeah, the PlusLiga, you can just never quite tell what is happening at any given time. Peter in the chat saying Club World Championships because of Huerta. That makes a lot of sense. But yeah, as I said, this was the most entertaining match for me anyways of the PlusLiga this year. It was a back and forth match all the way around. Lublin took the first 25-22. Then it was Zawiercie 25-20. Then you had a banger of a third set where Zawiercie looked like they were running away with it. I think it was like 18-13 at one point. Lublin stormed all the way back to take the lead 23-22, and then it was back and forth. Zawiercie ended up pulling it out 30-28. Then Lublin forced the fifth 25-20, then 15-11 for the home team. And you know, their home gym, that is, I mean, there's been a lot of discussion about their home gym in the Discord. A lot of people saying that it is probably the worst gym in the PlusLiga. And while I may not disagree, just because, there's no other gym really in volleyball that I see that the roof is actually a factor like it is in Zawiercie. Man, does that place not have some soul? Does it not have some energy? Is it not awesome how it's always sold out and the fans are so into it? You've got Jurassic Park, which is sick. As a Toronto Raptors fan, we've got Jurassic Park here. You've got the Jurassic the Jurassic Army in Zaviercie. Just a lot of fun stuff going on over there. And this one was a back and forth one. And Bovanj, who has been meh. He hasn't had a great season, in my opinion, since coming over from Warszawa. Outstanding in this match, just unreal. 27 for 45. Originally, it said he had 30 points. Now it said he has 29. We'll go with 29 because that's what's saying on the stat sheet now. And he was absolutely outstanding. But you also have four of these Zawiercie players in double digits. Bovanj, 29, Aaron Russell with 13, Bartosz Krolek with 12, and Matus Biniak with 11 as well. And this one was just a back and forth banger. Really, Zawiercie started turning things around. Miguel Tavares from the baseline, 5 aces this one, 5 aces. Only 1 error, and Zawiercie serving to me was the big story of the match. They had 11 aces on 22 errors, and on the other side, Lublin really struggled to pass the ball. Really struggled to pass the ball. 24% positive, 15% perfect. They got aced. It says here they made 11 errors. Yeah, 11 errors. They got aced 11 times, and it was just a slugfest from the baseline for Zawiercie. That's really how they kept themselves in that game, because on the other side of the net, Lublin's offense, even though Komenda was running around and even though they were setting the ball out of system, they hit 54% with a 45% efficiency. Right? They were cooking better than Zawiercie's offense, who had made a few errors down the stretch, mainly from Russell and Bartosz Krolek. But overall, I thought this was a really good battle back and forth. Leon was outstanding this one. His out-of-system efficiency is so damn good. He was 21 for 37, hit a 56% with a 51% efficiency. He also had 3 blocks and he did have 1 ace, but he also missed 8 aces. 8 of 15, which was not good. And, just as the good serving for Zawiercie was a big story in this match, the bad serving for Lublin on the other side was 7 aces to 30 errors. Right, 11 to 22. That's a 1 to 2 ace to error ratio, and you've got over a 1 to 4 ace to error ratio for Lublin on the other side. And if this one wouldn't have been nearly as close if it wasn't for the stellar play, of course, of Leon, he was outstanding, and Komenda as well, but also Hiller Henno had his best match of the year. And I mean, his brother did drop 29 points earlier in the week in Gorju's loss to Gdansk, so maybe there was a little bit of motivation. Now, he didn't pass the ball particularly well. Wasn't a great passer. He got aced 7 times and was a big target for Tavares and the rest of the Zawiercie team. But offensively, he was outstanding. He was crushing the ball. And he's just got such a big bag of shots, and there was a huge point late in that 4th set, or was it? No, sorry, it was late in the 3rd, right? In the extra points, and he's out of system. He's inside the court. He's approaching, looking at Winiarski, like looking at the opposite sideline, and has the ability to just pop that off the block and out of bounds. It was such a nice shot. Hiller Henno definitely with his best match of the year so far, going 16 for 30 and 19 points. Also had 2 blocks out there. But yeah, overall, this was a really, I think it was the best match we've seen from Zawiercie all year long, and it still wasn't perfect. Defensively, they were good. Outdug Lublin 44 to 32. And overall, just a really, really interesting match. And as I said, Lublin on a bit of a slide now, losing 2 in a row. They went from being undefeated, they won the Super Cup, and then have lost 2 straight since that. And then it doesn't get any easier for Lublin as they have to take on Varsovia on Sunday. Vorta has a bit of a quicker turnaround. They need to take on JSW on Saturday morning for me. Tomorrow afternoon for you guys. But yeah, very entertaining match all around. I absolutely loved it. It was a good time and a good match to watch. As I said also earlier, Barkom Lviv getting a nice win. A 3-0 win over Projekt Warszawa. And you know what? I think this Lviv team, I think, me and Adnos talked in the preview that you can check out for members only. And it was like, I don't think we had Lviv in a playoff spot. But honestly, I think that they're a playoff team. The more I watch this team play, the more I think that they're a playoff team. You've got 3 really good outsides, all of who can carry the team offensively, who are big and physical and can make it work on any given night, between Ilya Kovalov, Lorenzo Pope, and Vasil Tupci, right? All 3 of those guys were great in this one. Kovalov with 16, Pope with 13, Tupci with 10. You've got a veteran setter who has really helped settle down this squad. And last year, I just thought that Lviv was all over the place, up and down with their offense, up and down with their numbers. And this year, Lucas Kampa, who's an absolute dude, just a dude of dudes, comes in and just settles things down nicely. Did a really good job. And on the other side of the net, Warszawa, who, in my opinion, have looked almost untouchable until they lost to Resovia the last weekend. They're also on a 2-game slide. They went from winning 9 sets in a row to losing 6 sets in a row. And this one, it was a tough one on the outside for this group. Bartosz Bednors, one of the big signings this year coming in from Resovia, 3 for 8 with a 0% efficiency. They ended up bringing in Brandon Coppers, Canadian boy, off the bench. Offensively, he was great. He was 5 for 10 with a 40% efficiency. Same thing, Kevin Tilley, still struggling to score. 9 for 17 with a 35% efficiency. Warszawa's efficiency in this match as a team, only 32%. Linus Weber was better. He was better, but these are two struggling-ish matches for him in a row for me. First, it was against Resovia, where he got subbed out. And then now in this match, he did lead his team with 11 points, but still 9 for 17 with a 29% efficiency. I want that to be a little bit higher from Weber. And, we'll talk about some more German news other than that I won't get into it, but it definitely concerns Weber if you're a German fan. But, I think, if you were a Warszawa fan, I don't think there's too much to worry about. But, man, this Barkom Lviv team, from being literally on the doorstep of relegation last year to them this year being so good. I've really enjoyed watching this team. I think you've got, as I said, they've got good wings. They've got a great setter. They're pretty strong down the middle too, also with Mousse Gueye. And I'm excited. They're an exciting, they're like a big physical team, and that's fun to watch. They hit the ball hard, and that's great. Taking a look here at the standings. With that win, Zaviercie moves up into first place. Olsztyn, another team who has only lost 1 match so far this season, is in second. Skra in fourth, only having lost 1 match. Of course, Resovia up there as well as the only undefeated team. They'll be taking on, as I mentioned, Lublin on Sunday in one of the biggest matches so far this year, especially with the way Lublin playing. And then you got Lublin, Warszawa, Gdansk, Lviv, Shemskia, Zaksa, Norvid. The fact that Lviv is playing this way, you have 11 potential playoff teams now in the PlusLiga. That's wild. Wild. Absolutely wild. And I know there's a lot of discussion between the PlusLiga and the Superliga, and I will say this. I do think that, because you have one more foreigner spot, which always makes a difference, but then just the way that Italy plays, there's a little bit more skill in Italy. Serving's a little stronger. Setters are a little bit better. But in Poland, you just have so much parity. So much parity. Other than Helm and maybe Gorjuv and Suwałki, I don't know. Like, even Gorjuv, that could be a very good team too. They just took it to 5. Touching on that one, just real quick. Nasevich for Gdansk, 27 in that match. Tobias Brand, 22 points as well. And Matisse Heno, 29 points in the loss for Gorjuv, 25 for 48 with a 45% efficiency. He had 4 blocks and 13 digs. 13 digs. So that was a big one. Chizoba, still just like he was so dominant last year. So dominant. Now 17 for 44 in this match. He had a 15% efficiency. He had 5 unforced errors and got blocked 5 times. So no blocks either over on that right side. So if Chizoba can get things going, right, and maybe it's a bit of a setting issue that they have over here for Gorjuv and Heno Senior, the head coach. But if they can get things going, then we have like potentially 12 playoff teams. It's wild. PlusLiga volleyball, so good to watch. So much fun to watch. As I said, tomorrow afternoon, 2:45 European time, 8:45 Eastern time, Zaviercie is going to be taking on JSW. And then we've got Norvid against Olsztyn, which I think could be a really good match. Is 2 really good setters. Johannes Tila against Luciano De Cecco. That is going to be the afternoon game. Or sorry, the evening match at 5:30 p.m. European time, and I believe that's like what, 11:30 a.m. Eastern North American time. Then Zaksa against Lviv. I think that's a really interesting one. Zaksa looking for their second win of the season. Lviv looking to keep rolling. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And then, as I said, on Sunday we've got Lublin taking on Rusovia in that early morning match for me, 2:45 p.m. the afternoon match for y'all in Europe, and then Helm against Skra. Oh, and then you also have a late night match on Sunday too. Damn, Warszawa against Gdansk. That's going to be a good Sunday. I will unfortunately be missing maybe that one, but I think I'm gonna see if I can, depending on what I do Saturday night. I'm gonna see if I get up early, maybe throw on a bit of a live stream on Sunday, because there is going to be a lot of games going on Sunday, a lot of fun matchups in a number of leagues, and this one is one of them. All right, next up, moving on to the Lega Volley Femminili, where we had like week 9, day 9, already day 9 here in the Lega Volley Femminili. And well, I'll just run through the results here real quick from top to bottom, as you can see it on screen. If you're listening, just use your ears. Bergamo getting the reverse sweep over by Perugia. I watched a little bit through like 2 sets. I tuned in here and there. I thought Bergamo was going to be looking for their second win of the season, but Perugia just figuring it out. Nicely done. Conegliano, 3-0 against Macerata. You're going to have to expect that. Valafolia and Novara going to the limit, and Novara really pulling out a close one here to finally stop a bit of a skid. But that was going to be potentially a 3-match losing streak for Novara there. But there are some questions to be answered for Novara. I thought they were one of the best teams in the league. I thought they was a team that could potentially compete against Conegliano. And now, I don't know. I'm really not so sure. Once they get Tatiana Tolok back, it'll be a different story. Monviso getting a big 3-2 win over Consolini. And if you're a Consolini fan, you've got some backup. Sounds like you got some backup coming in. This Consolini team might be a bit of a different team to have to play in just a little bit. And then you also had Busto finally picking up another win against Cuneo. And Cuneo has been up and down, man. Just up and down and all around. Then we had Scandicci absolutely rolling over Chieri, and this one was a match that I was really excited for. I wanted to see if Chieri was the real deal. You know, this is only their second loss of the season. Oh, no, wait, not second loss of the season. No, that doesn't make sense. Classifica. Let's pull up the standings here. Third loss of the season for Chieri. But, man, Scandicci made them look bad. It was a great match from both Antropova and Skinner. We'll touch on it in just a second. And then also Malonza went down 1-0 to Firenze and then ended up figuring things out and ending up getting that W. But I'm going to talk a little bit here about Scandicci getting that dub. 3-0 dub over Chieri. And this one was just pure domination. Chieri just had a really hard time. I thought they did a really good job in the first and second set of staying close. In the first, they even held the lead for a little bit. Annette Nemeth was fantastic. She was really good. But then that secondary scoring for Chieri just really let them down. Nemeth had 22 points. She was 21 for 37. And then I found that both Kunzler and Nervini started strong and then just fizzled out after that. Nervini especially, she was 5 for 20, was really targeted in serve receive as well, got aced 4 times. And to me, it was just really just the overpoweringness of Scandicci. Kunzler was all right as well. She was 9 for 20 for 9 points, but Nemeth, the only player on the Chieri side able to get in double digits, where on the other side, you had 4 players in double digits for Marcos Gaspari's Scandicci. And I thought Scandicci had one of their best games all season. Of course, Antropova continues to just roll through teams. 20 points, 17 for 28 in this one. She also had 2 blocks and an ace. Camilla Weitzel down the middle was outstanding, really proving how much this team needs her. She had 11 points, was 7 for 11 with a block and 3 aces as well. Hitting a bit of a tricky wiggler out there. And then Avery Skinner just in her bag, 15 for 25, no errors, didn't get blocked. And I mean, when you've got Weitzel hitting at a 64%, Antropova hitting at 61%, and Skinner hitting at a 60%, you're just going to overwhelm teams. And that's exactly what the Scandicci team did as well. 5 aces to only 7 errors. They were absolutely cooking. And you know what? Good. Because they have a big matchup against Conegliano this upcoming weekend. And that is another one that I'm going to have to be watching on Sunday morning, because that is going to be a big one, a really, really big one coming up. And Scandicci looking really good. I thought, beginning on, I thought they looked a little sketchy. They lost that match to Cuneo. And since then, they've just been flying. They have really just been flying. I love the dynamic, how dynamic this team is. You've got Skinner and Antropova, who are 2 of the best offensive players in the game. You've got a legend and veteran presence in Maja Ojanovic running that offense and just making the right decisions. And I mean, when you've got passing like the Scandicci team has, where they're passing 51% positive and 27% perfect, and that's what you're going to get when you have Brenda frickin' Castillo in the back row. She's so good, man. Like, you can't serve to her. You really can't. 71% perfect on this day. And then Skinner has really upped her passing game. She's really stepped up to the plate. And you have Caterina Bossetti out there, which is like a secondary libero. So, and as I said before, like we saw in the last match when they had the reverse sweep against Novara, this is a Scandicci team that has different looks too. You still have Sarah Franklin on that bench. Lyndon Wakalor, who unfortunately is a little bit injured right now, can also come too. So I'm really excited to see what this Scandicci team can come up against Conegliano, because Conegliano, early on this year, we've seen some chinks in the armor. They are not as unbeatable, as dominant as maybe we've seen before. So that's going to be an interesting to want to watch. Next up, Perugia with the come from behind win against Bergamo. And as I said, I tuned in a little bit early on, and then after that I kind of came away from it. But man, I've been kind of saying it all year that Ceci Montalvo has been struggling. She has been struggling, but this one was not the case. Montalvo maybe having her best offensive game of the year so far, going 21 for 51. 27 points. Kendall Kipp also 29 points, 2 blocks, and 2 aces. Kipp hitting a straight up 50% efficiency, 24 for 48, no errors, and didn't get blocked. She has been the best Bergamo player by far. But to me, I don't know actually what happened. Maybe if you guys watch this one in the chat, you can tell me, because Monique Strube, the setter. No, not the setter. I apologize. Who's their setter? But anyways, the big thing on the Perugia side is they made that change in the third set from Kashana Williams, who once again starts the match strong and then really peters off. It's that Kashana Williams, Taylor Mims, two American opposites who are really struggling in that way. And they bring in Nika Markovic, and Markovic has a really good game off the bench. Oh yeah, Eze is the setter. Thank you, Simok. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Eze Chidera, who also went 5 for 8 in attacking. But for Perugia, you've got Beatrice Gardini and Elena Perinelli, who have been outstanding in the past couple matches. Markovic coming in off the bench, adding another 15 points off the bench. And once again, when you just have that ability to just go from pin to pin to pin to pin, you have 3 options. The other team only has 2. It's a really nice win, come from behind win for Perugia. And that's 2 matches in a row. That's 2 big wins in a row for this Perugia team. And while I did forget to get a asset for it, we'll just talk about this Novara team really quick, because man, they have been up on the ropes. And once again, like Taylor Mims getting subbed out, Herbott's not doing a great job either, going back to Mims, and that right side has really just been a big question mark for Novara. They need Tatiana Tolek back in a bad way. Now, she is on the roster, so she is technically available, and it looks like she's probably getting better, but she's not playing quite yet. Mayu Ishikawa, 20 points in this one. I mean, it was a big week for the Ishikawas in general, because I'm not going to talk about it, but the Perugia men also beat Cuneo yesterday. Ishikawa, I think, got the MVP, or he was the leading scorer at the very least for Perugia. But Ishikawa had 20. Lena Alsmeyer, who in my opinion has been the best Novara player this season, had 19. And then Indy Byans with 12 down the middle. And Valafolia being led by none other than Loveth Omarui. And she was a player who I was really low on, especially in her Chieri days, but she comes over here for Valafolia, and she has been outstanding. Like, so much so that she might need a bit of a look for the national team, especially in a next season where you're probably not going to see the Italian women. Just dropped my sorry, I just spilled my coffee mug everywhere. I'm gonna have to clean that up later. Not to mention my mouse. Yeah, Loveth Omarui has been outstanding for this team. Just so good. And I mean, you know, you're always not going to, like Gao Giovannini is there to do her role. And that's exactly what she did on 35 targets, passing 71% positive. Yuck. That is gross. But then Loveth Omarui, 24 for 56, hitting a 43%, 26 points, leading her team, pushing them all the way. You absolutely love to see it. And this one was a back and forth affair. Valafolia almost pulled off the reverse sweep. 25-16, 25-21 from Novara, 25-20, 25-16 for Valafolia, and then 15-13 to close out this match. Valafolia were leading, kind of threw it away a little bit. Kind of sucks, but it is what it is. A few other notes as we look here at some of the standings here for the Lega Volley Femminili. Of course, Conegliano continues to lead the league. Perfect 10-0 so far this season. They've really starting to level out. Scandicci at number 1. Remember, we have a 1 versus 2. We actually have 2 really big matchups this week. And of course, on Sunday, you've got a 1 versus 2 Conegliano against Scandicci. And then on Saturday, you can watch that on Race Sport, or watch on Race Sport and on VBTV. Milano taking on Novara. So you've got 1 versus 2, 3 versus 4 this weekend. This is a massive weekend for the Lega Volley Femminili, a must-watch, in my opinion. See if there's any other interesting matches here. I'm in all competitions right now. That's no good for this. I'm not talking about the B League at all. Sorry for Italy B, but Firenze against Busto. That could be another one. This Firenze team, Florence, currently sitting in 6th with a 4-5 record, and that's how wild this LVF teams are. You've got 5 teams at the top with positive records, and everyone else is below 500. But Busto, only a match behind at 3 and 6, but they're all the way down in 14th. Like, that is wild when you think about the Lega Volley Femminile in that way. Only, 8 points separates 4th to 12th. And only one win as well. So that shows you just how important it is to get it done in the 3 down. So Firenze taking on Busto, that could be a very interesting one as well. Bergamo taking on Monviso. Bergamo looking for another opportunity to get a win there. Cuneo taking on Chieri. Chieri's going to want to get back into the win column. Valafolia taking on another playoff team. Macerata right now. Both these teams have the same records. Macerata is in 8th. Valafolia is in 11th. Only 1 point separates them. Craziness. And then Perugia looking to make it 3-0 against Consolini. So much competition, and you've really got 3 different groups. You've got that top group, everyone else, and then you've got Consolini. But Bergamo might be looking over their shoulder a little bit. Consolini, they've got the same record. Consolini is only 2 points behind, but there is some reinforcements expected to come here to the LVF, as there's been some rumors of a few players joining up this year. And if you're watching on screen there, it looks like Li Ling is going to be joining Milano, which I don't know. I honestly don't know how I feel about this. Now, mostly because can Milano bring in another foreigner? That is my question. I'm asking this generally. I mean, I know Frasino has been so good this year, because then you'd have Agonu, you'd have Bosio, you'd have Denesi, and Frasino. So yeah, technically you could bring in Li Ying, run Li Ying, Kalia Lanier, and Hanna Kurtajic on the left side. But Simok in the chat, I feel bad for Piva too. I felt that Piva was just getting some momentum there. And maybe they're giving up on Elena Pietrini. But regardless, it looks like Li Ying is going to be joining this squad. So I don't exactly know who gets the outs, if they're going with Anakanyin or if they're going with a Pietrini out on the left side over there. But that is a big pickup for Milano, especially for the Champions League, which we're going to be talking out a little bit. But yeah, Lee and Agonu and Lanier, and you've got the best blocker in the world, in my opinion, in Hanna Kurtajic. Man, this is a dangerous team when it comes to the Champions League, which once again, we'll talk about in a little bit later. Another player to join, Joan Yushan, one of the top scorers from the VNL this summer, is going to be joining Consolini. And this to me is a massive addition to their squad. A really big addition to Consolini. And remember, this is a team who's sitting in last place right now. And to bring in an offensive player like Zhuang Yushan is a huge addition to your roster. An absolute massive addition to your roster. And I mean, they've got room out there to bring in some more foreigners for sure. So yeah, I think this is a really good move for Consolini. And if you're Bergamo, you got to be like, whoa, looking over my shoulder. I don't know if I like that so much. So big things to note here in the LVS is a couple of Chinese players going to be joining the ranks. That also means Zhu will be coming back for Corneliano as well. Just adding some interest over there to the Lega Volley Femminile. All right, moving forward. As we continue here, a little bit of Club World Championships news. As for the first time since 2013, NORCECA, North America, will have a representative at the Club World Championships, and it is going to be the Orlando Valkyries of the former PVF of the MLV. This is the team that won the PVF last year, of course. Now, I actually don't know what Orlando's roster looks like this year. Last year, so they're bringing back. Looks like a lot of the team. You've got Pornpoon, of course, the tie setter. She was one of the big parts of all of that. You're bringing back Brittany Abercrombie, the MVP of the league last year and one of their best scorers. You're also adding Hannah Maddox, who played for Vegas last year, was a really, really good athlete. Natalie Foster was a fantastic rookie for Orlando last year, also deadly from the baseline. Teodora Pusic, a veteran libero, best libero at the World Championships in 2022 for Serbia, will also be joining this roster. So a very, very interesting move here to bring in the Orlando Valkyries. I love it. I absolutely love it. The fact that an American team was going to be joining this is exactly what I hoped it would be. And now I want to see a bit of a competition for this because, I mean, it's pretty clear what happened to me, what happened here to me, because, I mean, the MLV and the PVF are a volleyball world. It's a VBTV product. This is a league that plays on VBTV. You can watch on VBTV, and that's why you're going to... Oh, Charity Looper's on this team, too. Nice little rookie out of Louisville and played for Vegas last year. So I actually really like this. I watched quite a bit of PVF last year, and I really like the way this roster has come together and nicely for this Orlando team. But the MLV is a volleyball world product. It's a league that plays on VBTV, and it's very interesting that it was just straight up given to the MLV team because most people kind of think that the League One is better. If you look on paper, League One technically has better athletes. But I would absolutely love to see a little bit of a competition for this. Maybe you invite in a team from Puerto Rico. Pretty sure Dominican has a league too. Why not invite them, right? But Norseca would actually have to do something to be able to do that. So, yeah, I think it might be interesting. So, but big shout out to Orlando actually having a place, and they're going to be in the pool with Corneliano and who's the other team? Ah, shoot, I saw it. It's not Scandicci. Oh, they have Praia Clube. So I think that's going to be interesting. Can Orlando make it out at the Club World Championships? They'll be in Pool B with Praia Clube, Corneliano, and then another team. So putting one of the American teams up. Jackson Jr., I live in Sao Paulo. They have better gymnasiums with 10,000 seats, but they choose one with only 3,000 seats. Budgets. Would like to see it though in a big stadium, because you know that if anyone's going to fill it out, it would be the Brazilians. Some of the best fans in the world, no doubt about it. Okay, moving on from some Club World Championship news to some Super Cup, some French Super Cup news. The French Super Cup being played earlier this weekend. Toulouse getting the job done, getting a 5-set win as they continue to be the number one team in France. Nick Mujanovic moving back to the right side, and I think his time in the French league is going to be short-lived. I honestly wouldn't even be surprised to see a team in maybe Italy or someone pick him up. 24 points in this one. He led his team in this match. He was 23 for 44 offensively. Not bad at all. Also, shout out to Isaac Heslinga, the Canadian rookie out there. Fucking this. Wow. I absolutely hate the LVF. The LNV. Not the LVF. The LNV stats page that they have up there. But yeah, Heslinga up there with 11 points. Guillermo dos Santos with 14. And Landry Yosia with 12. On the Tourcoing side of things, Venislav Antov, the Bulgarian right side, with 25 points leading his team, as well as Ignacio Luengas and Jan Martinez Franchi, the two Argentinians out there as well. Luengas with 13, Franchi with 10. But the big reason The big reason, do I think Trento should go get Mujanovic? Absolutely not. They have Théophile. Théophile has been fantastic for them. Théophile is not the problem in Trento right now. I mean, we can talk about those things at another time, but Théophile, not the problem in Trento. Absolutely not. Give one of the best scorers in the league the past few years his flowers. He has been outstanding. There's no reason, absolutely no reason for Trentino to go get a Nick Mujanovic right now. None whatsoever, in my opinion. But what is more interesting about this match? I'm French. What do you want from me? Okay. What is more interesting about this match is that now Toulouse is the number one team in France right now. Last week, they lost their first match to Montpellier, which was kind of a 1 versus 2 matchup, and it was a little bit surprising. You know, some fans were very interested in the way that Toulouse played. But it turns out that the Toulouse head coach, Mladen Kasic, they're Croatian. Did I pronounce that French? Skicino? Sheesh. But Mladen Kasic had announced to his team before the match against Montpellier that he was leaving the team, and he quit the team on a high after losing the Super Cup, which is wild to me. Just absolutely wild. You're coaching the number one team, and before you announce your departure, they're undefeated. You're going to play the Champions League. You're coaching in a league that you've coached in for a number of years, right? Kasic had, other than coaching for like a couple of years in Ljubljana, had mostly coached in France, both men and women, since like 96 too. Since 96. And he goes, and basically, I read the articles, he basically said he's like, I wasn't feeling like myself. You know, that there was no sunshine for me for the past 3 months. And I don't know if that he means literal sunshine. And I mean, I know France can be cloudy at times, but man, I don't think that it was like that bad. I didn't think it was that bad, where you're not going to have any sunshine over the course of three months. But yeah, goes out. Sorry, he was coaching at Calcit Volley. So he's coached women and men. Spent some time in Slovenia, just a little bit, like 1 season at Ljubljana, 1 season at Calcit. Took a year off, came back to coach this Toulouse team, and he's done. Very interesting. So he just quits as this team is on a high. And as I mentioned, like it was right before he made this announcement, right before they played against Montpellier. So instead, they're going to go out and get another Croatian, Igor Juricic, who previously was coaching at Gdansk, who coached at Komarovo, Kuzbas as well. So very, very interesting line of events there for the French team. And Mujanovic not playing OH. No, he was just playing outside hitter for Slovenia because Slovenia had no Klemen Cebul or no Rakmozic. So, yeah. Moving on, some more coaching news. This is just going to be a little footnote. Horacio Delio will be named the new Argentinian head coach. He was with Mendes over the last little bit, and also coaches Volley Renata in the Brazilian league. Renata is where Bruno plays. But yeah, he was the assistant coach for Argentina this past year, was also assistant coach for Mendes when they got third at the Olympics from 2019 to 2021. So he'll just be stepping into that role. Probably a good move there from Argentina. Just a lot of continuity for this Argentinian team, as they'll be rolling with pretty much the same guys. And then in other coaching news, in somewhat of a random turn of events, Michał Winiarski taking a step. Sorry. It looks like I lost my internet there. Yeah. Looks like I lost my internet there for a little bit. So we should be back on live now. Ooh. Yeah, I think we're good now. Sorry about that. Not entirely sure what happened there. But yeah, Michał Winiarski announcing that he will be stepping down from his role with the German national team. And will just be focusing on Zawiercie. So yeah, interesting turn of events. Now, of course, reading in the Discord, and I think that especially what Winiarski did with this team at the Olympic qualifying tournament and how this team has looked over the last little bit, that this would be lamented. However, as we see there's some people in the chat, and there's some, maybe not in the chat, but definitely in the Discord, some German fans who are actually happy about this. And I can also kind of see it why. I don't think that maybe some of the decisions were the best over the course of the World Championships. You had Philipp Jon, who was one of the best scorers at the VNL, basically shunned to the bench completely during the World Championships. So that kind of sucked. And then I definitely questioned the game plan heading into the Slovenian team. And, Karch followed my game plan perfectly. And look what happened to Slovenia in the quarterfinals against the USA. So regardless, I think Winiarski did a decent job. Maybe not this year as much, but definitely Germany, I don't think goes to the Olympics if it wasn't for the way he coached that team. So now I know the Discord is really looking at Stefan Hubner, really looking for the Lundberg main man to step into that role. So we'll have to keep an eye out over there. Oh, I didn't know that he had just extended his contract. Thanks for letting me know there, Scacchino. But speaking of the Lundberg main man, speaking of Mr. Stefan Hubner, they are absolutely rolling right now after a beauty of a three-dong that you could have watched on Spontent for free on Twitch, and that I did a bit of a watch-along for. And, man, does this Lundberg team look good? And I don't necessarily know if it's as good as Lundberg looks, or just there's something wrong with that Berlin team. I thought Jake Haynes was decent. He was 13 for 29, had 14 points, but the secondary scoring, just not really there for Berlin. It doesn't matter if it's Ruben Schott or it's Moritz Reichardt or Nolan Flexen. Just Berlin not looking the way that they normally do. The MVP of this match actually ended up being the libero Sho Takahashi out of Japan, and while they don't show digs, he was just strapping it on. Passed 89% positive, 44% perfect for this team. And you know what? He had Haynes' numbers a number of times down the line, but at the other side of the net, Lundberg looked crisp and clean. They only made 2 unforced errors on the day. 8 blocks as a team as well, 5 aces, 16 errors, 1-3. Ain't that bad at all. But Chris Byam, the former MRU Cougar out there, 22 points. 18 for 27, just one error out there. Ethan Champlin, only 4 points in this one, but you know what? I thought he did a pretty good job managing the ball, 4 for 17. And I really it's funny because as the Finnish people in the Discord have pointed out, there's 4 Finnish setters in the Bundesliga this year. At the same time, there is 16 Canadians in the Bundesliga playing across 10 teams. 10 of the 15 teams, so 66%, 2/3 of the teams in the Bundesliga have Canadians. 16 total Canadians. And you also have 20 players, 20 athletes who got their start and were built up in youth sports. So you absolutely love to see that. Youth sports is the big feeder system in the Bundesliga. And Sho Takahashi used to play at Częstochowa. Okay. 2 seasons ago, or 3 seasons ago. Regardless. Nice. I'd love to see it. I mean, he was big. Then, some people in the Discord were telling me that Hubner have said that this might be the best Lundberg team he's ever coached. And while I was kind of questioning it, they do look good. They really do. I love the offense that Santeri Valima, another Finn, is setting this one. This one was 2 young Finnish setters going Valima against Fedor Ivanov. And Ivanov was the setter that Finland picked at the World Championships this year, and I thought he did a great job, but Valima looked way better. So if Finland's got even some more setter talent in the bag right now, this is a team. This is going to be a national team to be watching out for the next few years. I'm just saying. I am just saying. But yeah, Chris Byam, 22 points, just absolutely demolishing in this one. 18 for 27 with 2 blocks and 2 aces overall. And when we go over to the standings, if you are a fan of the Bundesliga, when have you ever seen Bundesliga standings where you have Friedrichshafen and Berlin sitting in 7th and 8th respectively? That is wild to me. Absolutely wild. And it looks like Lundberg will have another big matchup this upcoming weekend against Gießen, if I'm not mistaken. And then there is a big matchup coming up on the 22nd where Düren will be taking on Lundberg. And those are the 2 undefeated teams right now. Oh, no, sorry. Düren is going to be taking on Gießen on Sunday. I apologize. That was a mistake on my end. But yeah, very interesting to see, because that's a few times. That's 3 big losses so far this year for Berlin. They're 2-3. They're 2-3. That's wild. Absolutely wild overall. Coming from the Berlin team, who is dominated, right? Is this going to be the year for the first time in it would be like first time in 20 years that a team like Friedrichshafen or Berlin don't win this league? I mean, it's still very early. It's still only November, but man, things are looking good. But yeah, Gießen will be taking on Düren. Düren is, of course, another undefeated team. Another team chock full of Canadians and former U Sport guys. And then my eye has to be on, it's Friday the 21st, Düren against Lundberg. And yeah, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, that one is also going to be on Spontent, and I'm going to hunker down and watch that one, because I think it's going to be an absolutely good one. So, all right, moving on now from the Bundesliga. We have some Champions League updates. As for the men, the second round is done. We have our third round teams figured out. And we had a golden set, ladies and gentlemen. A golden set. Ljubljana comes back after losing in the first week. They come back, win it 3-1. Like they lost last week, 3-1 against Dinamo Bucharesti. Won it 3-1 in this one. And Tonček Stern, 34 points. 34 points for his team. That is huge. He was 28 for 47 with 2 blocks and 4 aces. 4 aces by Tonček Stern to lead his team to victory. They are moving on to round 4, and they will be taking on Radnicki Kragujevac. I'm going with that. In the third round, Kragujevac took down TSV Raiffeisen Hartberg. Scandicci, come at me with I'm pronouncing everything French. Come on. But also, you had Guaguas Las Palmas out of the Canary Islands with a 3-dong over Olympiacos. And I thought Osmani Wantahena was going to be a big one in this one. He only had 3 points. 14 for Francisco Souza. And then on the other side for Olympiacos, just couldn't get anything going. Antanasiewicz had 5. Perrin had 4. Christian Fromm with 4. So yeah, just a domination. Looks like Olympiacos took a trip and visited the beach. And then also Levski Sofia, the Bulgarian club, moving on as well. So Sofia will be taking on Las Palmas. Ljubljana will be taking on Kragujevac. In the fourth round. Those matches starting up next week, whatever the 19th is. I'm assuming that's Tuesday for the home and home. And then it'll be all figured out as the Men's Champions League. We're coming up to it, getting going first week of December. But on the women's side, we do know what the draws are going to look like. As you know, I talked about it a little last week, and now I didn't even pretend to watch any of these, so I'm not going to break them down at all. But only one change really from week number one, as Budapest won 3-2 against Olympiacos. But Olympiacos, of course, had already won it by winning those 2 sets. So Plovdiv, Mauritia Plovdiv out of Bulgaria, Olympiacos Piraeus from Greece, Lisboa Benfica from Portugal, and Valero Le Canet from France, all moving on to the group stage, or the 4th round, if you will, of the Champions League. And yes, we do know what the pools will look like here for the Women's Champions League. Peter's saying this will be the best Champions League in years for both genders. Okay. All right. Well, in Pool A, should be a good one. Vakifbank Istanbul, Scandicci, Volley Alba Blaj out of Romania, and Valero Le Canet out of France. I mean, we all know who those ones are. The favorite is going to be Vakifbank against Scandicci is going to be spicy. Those are going to be some fun matches to watch for sure. Over in Pool B, the 4 teams, you've got Fenerbahce, Novara, Bolvani Łódź, team out of Poland, and then Benfica. Sorry, Benfica, have a cookie. Maybe a tough one for you guys. Glad you're there, though. Glad you're there. In Pool C, Zasabashi, Milano, and then you have OK Zelenikar. Should have been going through the different slides here. I was missing it. Zelenichar Jakovac and Olympiacos Piraeus. So once again, we're getting some real spicy Italy versus Turkey matchups in these first 3 pools. You gotta love it. And then in Pool D, another one, Corneliano. They've got a bit of an easier pool. They have Zarenspor, who is another Turkish team, but they're not up to the levels of a Vakifbank or of a Fenerbahce. Dresdner, out of Germany, and then the other Łódź team, Kommersant Łódź, and then finally in Pool E, where we've got all of this Italy versus Italy you've got Italy and Turkey in all 4 pools, and then in Pool E, I don't know how this happens. I really don't know how this happens. Rzeszów, Paris Saint-Cloud, Mauritia Plovdiv, and Palmberg Schwerven out of Germany. So you've got a Polish team, a French team, a Bulgarian team, and a German team in Pool E. So everyone is going to want to play against those guys in the quarterfinals or the playoffs of the Champions League. So lots to be able to watch over there. The 4th round of the Women's Champions League. When do we get started here? Can you just give me a schedule? A proper schedule here, website? Looks like we're getting started not next week, but the week after, on the 25th. Polish champions are in first pot before the draw. So where do the Turkish champions go? I don't know. It needs to be based off of last year's results, I think. That's just my opinion. Or we could just change it up. What do you have? 5 teams of 4. So you've got 20 teams. Let's make 4 groups of 5. Or even better, let's make a bunch of groups of 3. You play each other and you move up and you move down. That's we need a better system here. We need a better system for the Champions League. It's just not fun in so many ways. Okay. Well, everyone, appreciate you all joining me here on a bit of a cold Friday afternoon here in Toronto. So I hope you guys have a lovely evening. Like I said, really big matchup tomorrow, Novara against Novara against Milano. On Sunday, Lublin against Resovia. You have Perugia against Verona. And then Conegliano against Scandicci. Both of those are at 10 a.m. my time, noon European time. And then you also have Fenerbahce taking on Exashabashi, finally, as the Sultanar Ligi gets going once again. So make sure to check those out. I'll probably be live, maybe on YouTube, maybe on Twitch. I'm not entirely sure. Actually, maybe I'll do that. Like during the week, we'll go live on Twitch. On Sundays, we'll go live on YouTube and hang out with everyone. But yeah, that one might be a bit of a marathon. So appreciate you all. Have a great weekend, and I will see you soon. And if you're not a part of the Volleyball Source Discord, go jump on it now. All right, bye. Peace. Love you all.